A very good morning to you. Welcome to Daytona, where we're live from the Ferrari World Finals. The Finale Mondiale 2016 reaches its conclusion today. What a period of time we've had here in Daytona as the World Finals here on this absolutely awesome Daytona International Speedway circuit. All the information at races.ferrari.com. And for North America, Asia Pacific and Europe, the championships are done and dusted. What are we talking about today? Well, on this 5.729 kilometer circuit, it is the honor of being the world champion. One race for Coppa Shell, one race for Trofeo Pirelli, with the best of every region all together on track. Who is going to be the world champion? Delighted once again to welcome alongside me Rusty Wallace, NASCAR legend and Ferrari racer, if I may say so, sir.
I am pretty excited to hear those last words you just said, Ferrari driver. I never thought I'd be doing that before, but I am. I'm in the second race today, the Trofeo Pirelli race, and going for it. We'll see what happens. I feel like I got a great car, but right now it is the Coppa Shell. We're going to watch and see what happens. The cars have been warmed up. They're back on the grid right now, and the drivers will get their starting positions, and pretty soon we're going to warm them back up and have another race.
I know yesterday when we had the privilege of having you alongside us once again, you were really, really impressed that the pace difference between Coppa Shell and Trofeo Pirelli is minuscule. These guys, they know how to drive, don't they? And there's Rick Lovett.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Was so strong yesterday. Hit his marks perfect almost every single corner, and he got a victory. So it was great. But one thing I did notice was the lap times. I'm going, oh, wait a minute. I thought these guys were not supposed to have as much experience, but they do. And the lap times are there. So maybe they'll reclassify them for next year. But, boy, they've learned a lot throughout the year in this class.
How is it as a racing driver, Rusty, when you've got this situation which is, you know, a one-off race? It is for the world title. It's something very, very important. Pride is a huge stake here. The championship is done and dusted. Wherever your position in the championship, it's done. This is all about pride and how those drivers will be feeling as they sit on the grid. We'll get to that in just a moment. Postcard of our venue. So to go back to what I was saying, Rusty, with the pressure of the championship off, you know, do you relax? Do you tense up more because there's so much pride at stake in this race? I mean, it's kind of a different dynamic, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. I mean, I can compare it to some of our special NASCAR races. When you come here for the Daytona 500, you're really excited for that big points-paying event that means something. And all the races mean something. But before that, we have another big race here in Daytona called the Shootout. And it's all for a lot of money, $1 million to win and no points. And I kind of compare that race to this race. The championship is over. Now this is for the pride to be the world champion and be able to get up and pound your chest and say, I did it, you know? So that's what I see these guys doing. The pressure is off, going for the points. Now let's go for the big single event on the last day of our big event.
Let's go for the gold roof. There's Vladimir Hladek, who, of course, was successful at the Le Mans circuit, where the Ferrari Challenge for Europe took part as a support to the famous Le Mans 24-hour race. As we look at the Hublot safety car, we are live from Daytona for the World Finals. So here come the highlights of the Coppa Shell races 1 and 2. Race 1 under the lights, which is... This place is magic anyway. It becomes ever more magical when you're under the lights and those 458s are screaming around this circuit, and what a fantastic job they did in terms of entertaining. The one to watch out for was Thomas Loflad in race 1. Rick Lovett was not going to have it all his own way as we watch Renato D'Amato then in the all-orange, almost day-glow car, looking back from Rick Lovett as they head into turn number 1. And there Rick Lovett, his brake discs glowing aplenty, being hounded by Matt Keegan. And this was Fons Skeltermar with a little moment as he connected with Zeckelman. Both were able to recover that from that. Fons' partner looked on. Sadly, it was a retirement for the 108 car. of Deborah Mayer, one of the lady racers, and that meant it was going to be a safety car. So the drivers have to do it all over again from the safety car restart. Now, that was the overtake that changed the shape and the result at the end of the race, and it pleased Stylef Squadra Corsa that Thomas Loflad did manage to get past Rick Lovett as we see him flying through the bus stop chicane now. There were some conversations at the end of the race. Rick Lovett thought it was a bold and audacious move, but rubbing is racing, and it's all about winning when it comes to racing, and that's what Thomas Loflad did in race number 1. So to race 2, Rick Lovett with pole position. He was going to be hounded by Fons Skeltermar. The interesting dynamic in that race was, of course, both Rick Lovett and Fons Skeltermar race for the same Kessel racing team. Rick Lovett, who was here at the Rolex 24 event earlier in the year and took part in 2 Ferrari Challenge races there, certainly paid dividends in terms of his experience and his knowledge of this Daytona circuit, because he did not put a foot wrong. We did see a number of retirements, and well, it wouldn't be a Ferrari Challenge race, it would appear, here at Daytona without a safety car. And poor old Rick Lovett was going to have to do it all over again from a restart. Tanny Hanna took to the grass to try and find a way through the bus stop, and it wasn't going to be the quickest way because Eric Prinot was able to take advantage of that little move off of the tarmac. A huge blowout there saw a multi-pirouetting 458 from Matt Keegan. I think it was something like 8 or 9 donuts in that car. Wow, what must that feel like? But he kept it out of the concrete wall, thankfully, and lived to fight another day. And the fighting was going on aplenty. As the 306 and 377 cars both went around, both Williams and Courtney. It was Williams that ended up against the barriers. Courtney ended up just on the grass. Towards the end of the race, Fons Skeltermar was coming under real pressure from the Rob Hodes car, and you can see Vladimir Haladik going through on the inside, but Rick Lovett took the win in race 2 here at Daytona. Will he be able to take the World Championship? A few moments will tell us all. So 2 formation laps underway, Rusty, as we look at Tommy Lindroth, the diminutive Tommy Lindroth, who was in fine form at the gala dinner last night.
Well, they've got a lot of heat in their tires. They ran about 7 minutes a little while ago and got the cars warmed up, and now they're doing their formation lap now. They're getting more heat in the tires. But I heard this morning there was a rule change. Yesterday we saw Keegan's cars blow the right rear tire and spin. This morning Pirelli went to the teams and said, you got to change the camber. It's too aggressive on the tires. So they backed it off from 1.9 degrees to 1.7 to get a little camber out of that right rear tire, because it was really abusing the inside edge of these Pirellis on this high bank track here in Daytona.
So it's effectively, Rusty, one part of the tire is being overused in comparison to the rest of it, and that makes it weak, and therefore that's why we see that blowout.
That's exactly right. There's so much speed here at Daytona, over 190 miles per hour going into turn 1, super fast. People always wondered, how fast would a 458 Challenge car actually run here at Daytona? Well, I'm telling you, they are really going fast into turn 1. Because of that last-minute change by Pirelli, hey, we're pushing it too much. Let's back that camber off, make it a little safer for the drivers.
Good, sensible decision being made there. Okay, the cars then, 2 formation laps to be done. As Rusty has said, they've had some warm-up already, and generating some heat into the tires. And it's not only heat into the tires, it's heat into the brakes as well.
Yes.
That's critical, isn't it?
And you know what? I'm not accustomed to that, but these carbon fiber brakes really need a lot of heat to stop properly. And so, yeah, they're putting a lot of heat into them. The drivers are pushing on the brakes. Guys are practicing right now, are warming up. They're trying to get the heat in the tires. They're trying to get the heat in the brakes. Because I'll tell you, when they get down to turn 1, they got to have that car react because they're going so fast. It's got to stick.
An interesting point that you made in our conversations yesterday is that you run with NASCAR steel discs, and so therefore this whole carbon fiber setup of braking, that was really quite different to what you imagined, I think.
Oh,
isn't it?
Very much so different. And NASCAR does it because the steel stuff is just more economical and cheaper and easier to get and things like that. But in NASCAR, they run a 15-inch wheel. Here in a 458 Challenge, that wheel's much bigger, so they can put a lot bigger carbon brake on it, which I wish NASCAR did.
Okay.
But anyway, it's a different way as a driver. You have to treat the brakes, that's for sure.
Right, so as we go into this World Final, it is, of course, the pride of taking that World Championship. Now, that's not only for the driver, but it's also for the region as well. And we have quite a split because North America represented pole position with Matt Keegan. Then we see 3 European drivers all together, Rick Lovett, Thomas Loflad, and Vladimir Hladek, before it's back to another North American driver. And the best of the Asia Pacifics is Wang, who's going from P14. Don't write him off from P14 either, because an awful lot can happen. We increased the race duration by 5 minutes. And I'm guessing that Pirelli have been thinking about that as well, because there's another 5 minutes into this race. It's increasing the length of time that those poor tires are really going to be worked hard.
Yeah, that's about another 3 laps around this racetrack, which is a long way around the track.
Sure.
And it really is a lot of speed. Plus, it's late in the race, and it's late on the tire. I mean, the tire's already been degraded. It's already been worn. It's been slipped and slided all over the place. So I can understand backing the camber off a little bit to save these tires a little bit more, because, again, Pirelli thought they were really abusing the tires from what they had.
And obviously, when we talk about those cambers, just to close that little chapter, of course, the teams will take every little advantage they can to find just a little for a 100th, for a 10th here and there, won't they? But it's a very thin line, Rusty, between actually maintaining that during the course of the race and just taking it to that knife edge, which is what you want to do. You don't want it, clearly, to explode, but it's a real gamble, isn't it?
Well, it is a big gamble. And one of the things that's really abusive on the tires is running over the ripple strips. As the drivers get over the ripple strips, that really pounds on this low-profile tire. And so they're telling the drivers to be careful with that, but they built a little safety margin in for them now this morning with this a change in the camber. So we'll see how it goes. What's going to happen? There'll be less grip in the back of the car. The front didn't change. I don't know if the driver's going to notice much of it or not. We'll see what happens.
So could be a bit looser at the back end. We're on with von Skeltermar. We're on board with him. Von Skeltermar goes from P7. It's Keegan on pole, Rick Lovett. You have seen the grid on screen. Then it's Loflad, Hladek, Zeckelman, Prinot, Skeltermar, Hodes. Then it's D'Amato, Hanna, Williams, Costner. Then we find James Courtney. Then it's Wang, Gosner, Harmson, and Corinna Gosner going from P17. Tommy Lindroth from P18. Then it's Christian Kinch, Yang, Madsen, Ingvar Madsen, who's been driving really well this weekend. Claudio Schiavone, who's already committed to the challenge for next season. And now we can see the cars gridding up behind that safety car as the safety car peels off. We're getting ever closer to the green flag. This is the world final race for the Coppa Shells as we go green. Rusty Wallace, Matt Keegan, Rick Lovett, lockout of the front row. Who is going to get it going into turn number 1?
No, Keegan clears him, gets down low, a good run, 4 wide, getting into turn 1. These guys were really hauling the mail, getting down in that corner.
And Thomas Loflad was on the charge as well. He's moved himself up into P2, already had a victory here at Daytona. And Rick Lovett has been hung out to dry. He's gone from P2 to P4. Drive-through penalty is being awarded to Matt Keegan, who's leading the race, for working on the car, Rusty Wallace.
Oh, I don't understand that rule. I don't know what's happening with that right now. Drive-through penalty for working on the car. The car was staged. It's on the front. I'm sure he's going to contest that and find out, what are you talking about? You should have told me that before the race started.
Eric Prinot on the outside of the 351 car of Rob Hodes there. And Eric Prinot sticks with it there. And they rubbed panels together. But Eric Prinot is going to have his nose in front going into the turn here on the infield section of this Daytona circuit. So this is Rick Lovett that we're on board with right at the very start as we're heading into turn number 1 now. And Vladimir Hladek, he tries to cut to the inside, but that space is full of Thomas Loflad, but he does eventually get through, and he does manage to get past Rick Lovett. And there was a bit of skirmish going on behind there, Rusty.
And what they're doing right there, they have to be that real aggressive on the start of this race, because passing here is pretty hard to do. And they think on these fresh tires early into turn 1, if you can get 2 or 3 cars, you got to go for it. So that's the reason you saw all this aggression right off the bat.
So what we can tell you is that the leader of the race, Matt Keegan, has got a drive-through penalty for working on the car. Now, we can only assume as Eric Prinot there takes it across the grass, and that in replay, that was at the bus stop chicane. Good job he didn't collect anyone in so doing that.
We'll have to try to find out what happened there. I don't know if that was something after the cars went through technical inspection today. They altered the car to try to get a little more performance out of it or something, or else this might have been left over from yesterday, because the right rear quarter panel on Keegan's car was completely ripped off. So maybe something happened because of that. We'll have to find out. We'll get back to everybody later.
Now, the rules are that once you've got a drive-through penalty, you have to serve that drive-through penalty within 3 racing laps.
No, and I did that yesterday.
Sorry, Rusty. I wasn't even going to mention that, friend. I really wasn't. Oh, and Eric Prinot is spun around there. No, that's not Eric Prinot. That's Manuela Gosner. Beg your pardon. Manuela Gosner, the lady racer. Now in a critical part of the track as well. She won't like being sat there as Thomas Loflad is coming under real pressure now from Vladimir Hladik. Now, these two are going to have a fight. It's almost academic that Matt Keegan's ahead of them because he's going to have to come in for a drive-through penalty. So effectively, Thomas Loflad is the leader of this race.
I've got to believe we're going to get a full course caution here in a little bit because the left front tire of the car I just saw slide off is ripped off. Absolutely can't move, so they're going to take a look at that, but I got to believe we're going to see a caution here shortly.
So the point I was mentioning about this drive-through penalty, you have to take it within 3 laps. Now, presumably the teams, and we can see some, I just picked up on Matt Keegan's car. There seemed to be some dust or maybe some fluid coming off the back of that car as well. I don't know if you'll pick that up in just a moment, Rusty, as that car comes through. But the teams, if they're going to appeal that drive-through penalty, are on the race control as we speak. And my guess is that they're keeping Matt Keegan out there in the hope that maybe this drive-through is going to get rescinded, but of course it won't.
It generally doesn't happen. I tried to argue my point yesterday with them, and they say, look, oh, there's a lot of fluid coming out of this car, just like you said. He's losing a lot of fluids. I don't know if it's water. I do not think it's oil. I don't think it's oil. I think this car had a lot of repairs last night after he lost the tire. He's got more problems right now, that's for sure.
Okay, so Loflad, Hladik, and Rick Lovett, who's come back into the mix now, who, whilst he's running in P4, it's effectively P3. Well, Matt Keegan then, who is got a drive-through penalty, not only that, appears to have some mechanical woes as well. I'm glad I picked that up earlier on as Vladimir Hladik once again puts the pressure on Thomas Loflad going through the hairpin on this infield section of the circuit. They're going to go around the kink right now, and there we could see it even better, couldn't we? That stuff coming out of the back of Matt Keegan's car.
A lot of fluid out of Keegan's car. It's just a matter of time before the computers on that car say, hey, I've had enough. I'm getting too hot. We got to shut down.
So the update we can bring you is that the reason Matt Keegan got that penalty is that you're not allowed to work on the car once it's stationary on the grid. The team did, which prompted the penalty, Rusty.
Oh, man, that's a no-no. You really can't touch those cars at all once they go through and they're adjusted. I'm trying to think what they could do to improve the performance on the car, whether it's maybe change air pressures, maybe they messed with that. Obviously, you can't unbolt the wing and change the angle. It's too much, so I don't know. Just a small infraction, and I'm sure he's upset about it.
But just now, I'm beginning to see the fact that the Keegan car is not as quick as it was, and that's inevitably as a consequence of that problem that we can see.
To me, it's like he's driving into meltdown mode right now. I mean, I don't know if he knows the fluid's out of that car or not, but I'm sure he can't see what we're seeing.
Because the thing is, when you're in the racing car, Rusty Wallace, tell me, please, you don't have time to look at gauges and things, do you?
You got time to look at lights. You don't have time to look at numbers, you know. And these cars don't have full telemetry where they're watching what's going on from the pit area. So, you know, it's just going to start losing performance, and that's going to be it. There it is. It's done. It's done. He's coming down pit road now. He told him there's something that's not running, and all of a sudden, the last minute, I'll guarantee you, he looked down and said, oh, my gosh, I'm overheating.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Well, it got to serve a drive-through penalty anyway. We suspect it's going to be a retirement for Matt Keegan. So that means the man that's leading the Coppa Shell World Championship race currently is Thomas Loflad for Stylev Squadra Corsa. We've already had a race win across the weekend here, the World Finals, the Finale Mondiale here in Daytona. First 6 minutes of the race done and dusted, and it has, order has changed then. The drive-through penalty for Matt Keegan coming because of the team working on the car once the car was stationary on grid just before their formation laps, and that is prohibited in the regulations, and that's why he got a drive-through penalty. But nonetheless, mechanical woes for that Keegan car as well.
And what's confusing, he just did the drive-through penalty. I just watched it.
Did he go out?
And he went back out on the racetrack. So there is something peculiar going on with all this fluid coming out of the car. He might not still know it, so we'll see what happens with him.
Now, timing screen is now telling me that Vladimir Hladik is leading, and that Thomas Loflad has disappeared and is falling way down the order. So there is the Loflad car. That must be a problem with our timing screen, because there is Thomas Loflad, there is Vladimir Hladik, then it's Rick Lovett. So I'm going to ignore the timing screen for a moment and hope that it catches up. Yes, Thomas Loflad has gone back to the chart, so obviously just perhaps a slight issue in the transponder transmission momentarily. Races.ferrari.com is the website. where you can find out all the information you want to know about the Ferrari Challenge. These are the 458 Evo cars, and for Coppa Shell, this is the last time we're going to see those 458 Evos on the track. And I have a bit of a tear in my eye, Rusty Wallace. They've been such a great car.
They're wonderful cars. There's no doubt about that. But last night during the big Ferrari Gala event here at Daytona International Speedway, they unveiled the new 488 Challenge car, and I got to see it. It's beautiful. Got some big wings on the front of it.
Yes.
Another 100 horsepower.
I know.
Bigger rear wing on the back of it, bigger tires, fatter tires. It looks pretty sexy. It's a neat car.
Yeah, so looking forward to the challenge next year. And Rusty, it's true that at that gala dinner, those that had not committed to placing their order, there was almost a queue of people, wasn't there, saying, come on, I'm going to have one of these, come on.
Yeah, earlier this morning I stopped and talked to Matt Keegan. We had a long conversation, and his owner came by. We took some photographs and stuff, and I said, are you gonna buy these new 488s, or are you going to stick with the 458 for a while? I said, no. We're buying new 488s.
Oh, brilliant.
His pocket was a little thinner when he walked away, so he's going to spend some money, and Matt's really loving it. He's fired up that he gets new cars for next year.
So Loflad has some 8/10 over Vladimir Hladik. Rick Lovett is running P3. Von Skelterma is P4. So it's a bit of a European wipeout at the moment for the top 4 places, with the best of the North American drivers in P5, and that's now Zekelman.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they really had a great start. Nobody really got in trouble, and because of that, they were able to hit their marks, really, make some good runs around the first couple laps of the Daytona circuit here. And you can see they pulled out. It's not real tight at the moment. Now, yesterday in this race, we saw them all over top of each other all throughout the race. I got a feeling we're going to see a caution later in this race. It'll bunch them all back up again. We'll see what happens then.
Well, certainly that would run true to form with seeing a safety car in just about every race that we've done here across the world final weekend. And what it does do from our point of view as race fans, and irritating for you as a racing driver potentially, is what it does do. It bunches everybody up, and then the entertainment factor just goes up a little bit more, because all of a sudden some more battles can recommence.
When I'm in the broadcast booth, I'm loving those battles, but when I'm in that Ferrari, I'm like, get away from me.
Yes. Thomas Loflad then, fastest lap on lap 4, a 1:49.593 around this 5.7 Daytona course. There, he's the back end of the Kessel Racing driver, 112 Rick Lovett, the Canadian-based driver who took victory yesterday, and was racing here in the North American Series as a guest earlier on in the year to get some valuable track time here at Daytona. And that certainly, as far as I'm concerned, has paid off for Rick Lovett. He's looked very, very good indeed. But the battle for first position is between Thomas Loflad and Vladimir Hladik. Now, what's really interesting here is Thomas Loflad has got a clear track ahead of him as the team from Stylef Squadra Corsa look on. Now, he's got a clear track ahead of him, but Vladimir Hladik is fighting hard here. He's just taken 3 tenths out. He's taken a couple of tenths in the first sector on this lap as well. So he means business. He's not going to let Loflad get away here.
No, he can't. He's got to stay on him tight right now and maybe get a little bit of that NASCAR draft off the front bumper, too. If he can stay tight to him, he can maintain down these long straightaways here at Daytona because of what we call the draft effect.
To get the benefit of that draft effect, Rusty, how close do you need to be to that car ahead of you?
You're always going to feel it a little bit. I mean, you need to be about 4 car lengths at the most away from him to really feel it. If you get farther than that, you're not going to feel a whole lot. But I did learn yesterday, if you're going to use that draft to your advantage, meaning that the car behind the one in the front, if you run up to his rear bumper, you got to get right to the rear bumper before you pull out to make the pass. I pulled out too early yesterday, and the car stalled on me. It just, the aerodynamics kicked in, and I couldn't take advantage of it. I learned a lot for today.
Okay. We're going to look forward to your race. So, to explain to us, the draft is basically the hole in the air that the car in front is making that you're taking the benefit from.
That's exactly right. The car that's leading in front of you is actually busting the hole in the air, and you're behind it with no restriction that way from the aerodynamics, and you're flying right up on the bumper of the car in front of you. You can really do that here at Daytona.
So the 199 car has gone around, and that's Ingvar Madsen for Scuderia Autoropa, has managed to get the car pointing back in the right direction again and continues the race. Now, we can see here, Vladimir Hladik, it's 5 tenths between the two of them. He lights up those front brake discs. And Loflad is, well, he's certainly conscious of the fact that his rearview mirror is full of that Vladimir Hladik car. Loflad Hladek, and Rick Lovett is still sticking with it as well. He's 1.2 seconds down on the leader, but we've still got a big lump of race duration to come. Still 22.5 minutes, and as Rusty Wallace alongside me has said, all we need is a full course caution safety car to come out, and all of a sudden those cars are going to bunch up together once again. Through the bus stop chicane they go, and it's here, Rusty, where Vladimir Hladek has got to start building if he wants to make an attempt going into what is the first turn, effectively.
Yeah, he's doing all he can right now. They're both on the bottom of the racetrack, but not dead on the bottom, but pretty close to the bottom. He's feeling the slipstream of the car in front of him now, and that's all he can really do. But if he does get closer, he can use that and pass him with that slipstream effect, the draft we call it.
So we watch low flat then as they head up towards turn number one. It's a heavy braking area, and we have seen cars go underneath and also around the outside and make it work as well. So there is a multi-discipline that you can take to an overtake there. Of course, it depends where the lead driver chooses to put his car in terms of defense, but low flat at the moment is doing a good job. But I just think as these two are beginning to fight a bit more, this is allowing Rick Lovett, who's at P3, to get just a little bit closer to that battle.
Well, Lovett had a lot of experience yesterday. He knew where to pass and what to do. He won that race, and you got to believe that Lovett, who's running in a third position right now, has got a little bit of an advantage because he had such a good car. He knows what's going on, and he's just kind of setting those guys up, waiting for them to make a mistake, and he can pounce on that.
And that's something that I say often, and that is that sometimes if you're in that P3 position, you're going to allow Hladek to do all the work. He's the one that's going to be very aggressive. Low flat clearly is going to have to defend, as we see Tanny Hanna having gone around. And basically, Rick is just waiting for that battle to actually liven up even more, and hopefully, like a viper, he's going to pounce and take advantage.
Oh, you got that right. He just lets them work real hard trying to pass each other. When they go off course or run a little wide corner because they got in so deep, Lovett will get them right there.
So who is that? That's a replay of the Tanny Hanna moment where he just kept it out of the tyres, and then for the benefit of the fans, gave it a little bit of a donut, stalled it, started again, and recommenced. So here we can see those three cars up there on that 31-degree banking here at Daytona International Speedway, where some of the drivers were telling me visibility. The one thing they learned about this circuit is that they didn't realize the compromise that would come in terms of visibility as Rick Lovett closes in on Vladimir Hladek now. He goes from hunting to being hunted. This is a battle for P2 that's going on into turn number one. Can Rick Lovett get underneath him? Not quite. All three so close together as they go onto the infield section now. Low flat leads from Hladek. Rick Lovett is at P3, and all of a sudden, Rick Lovett has come back into this battle now.
And that was a perfect example of what Lovett was able to do at the start-finish line here at Daytona. He actually got that car in that draft, picked up that speed, tried to make that pass, and didn't get it done. But I'll tell you what, he knows what he can do now, and he's going to try to get that situation set up again for the next couple laps and try it again now.
Just in Claudio Schiavone go off track there. But now Vladimir Hladek goes back to hunting down that Thomas Low flat car. First Stylift Squadra Corsa ahead of him. P1 at the moment. Rick Lovett there, and Vladimir Hladek just taking a look to the outside. He can't afford to leave the window too open because Lovett could be into that gap. So the back out onto the speedway right now. Building speed. The acceleration of these 458s, Rusty Wallace, is awesome, isn't it?
That's incredible. I mean, I told you yesterday, we came out of the bus stop yesterday, and by the time we left the bus stop and got to the start-finish line, my car was running 191 miles per hour. People asked again, how fast can they go? I'm telling you what, they're running a lot faster than we thought they would go here at Daytona.
So through the bus stop they go then. And the back end of Thomas Lowflat's car is being covered by Vladimir Hladek. He's closer out of the bus stop than he's been for the last couple of laps. Is he going to try for the lead going into turn one, and now going through Speedway 3, then Speedway 4 onto the start finish? There, those huge grandstands that can accommodate some 105,000 race fans past the entry to pit lane.
Just not close enough yet.
No.
They got two separated right there. They know they got to be tighter in order to do what I call the dive bomb pass. Oh, he's got it wide. He's got it wide. It's too wide. Unbelievable.
Well, Rick Lovett was nearly able to get alongside the Vladimir Hladek car then, but for my money, I think Rick Lovett just dialed out of that to avoid any damage. That's Eric Prenot, who is out onto the grass, the Ineco MP Racing driver in car number 181. is on the grass, and that looks, Rusty Wallace, like a retirement for him.
Yeah, he's had some type of issue. I don't know what's going wrong with that car, but he done a good job getting it off the course, so we didn't get a caution flag, so this race can continue.
So, forgive us, but this battle for first position is hotter than a hot thing at the moment. And Thomas Loflad, who has just a margin of 3/10 ahead of the car that's running in P2 for Vladimir Hladek, really keeping these cars very tight together. And Loflad cannot, when you're in this position, Rusty Wallace, and you want to be looking through the windshield to see where you're going, do you look in the rearview mirror, because you know that car's there, and you know that's going to make you 100th slower, isn't it?
You're looking in the rear view mirror all the time. You want to see if a guy's setting up to pass you or something like that. You're guarding. There is no doubt about that. Somebody that tells you I'm just looking out the front all the time is crazy. He's looking out. He's using one eye to look forward and one eye to look backwards.
Okay, off the bus stop they come then. Is Vladimir Hladek going to get closer on this occasion? There's the 325 car having gone through the pit lane once again for Matt Keegan. So whether those mechanical woes that Rusty and I picked up on earlier on are still playing to haunt that Matt Keegan car, for my money, I don't think Vladimir Hladek is close enough. And Rick Lovett seems to have lost a little bit of pace as well. Into turn one they go. Now, Loflad did exactly the right thing there. He kind of went into turn one tight and then let the car drift out a bit to block.
Yeah, because you really can't pass there. It's hard to set up a pass right there.
Okay.
If you get right on their bumper, you're in the bottom, and you can kind of drag race him off the corner, I call it. Maybe you can get something done there, but it's a real hard corner to do the pass on. But Loflad did the great job. I mean, the 144 car, the last couple laps, he's went into turn one, let it drift high, and turned the car and got a good run off the corner, but still at that point couldn't make the pass. So it's a tough corner, even though they're going so fast, and it looks like it's a passing zone. It's one of the toughest.
Whoa, the back end of Hladek's car just stepped out there as he tried to get to the underneath the 151 car of Thomas Loflad. Now, here, Rusty, because Hladek is pushing so very hard as around goes the 323 car of Alexander Menzel, does that mean that the Hladek car is being pushed harder than that of Loflad, and therefore that might come back to haunt him in the final stages of this race?
Well, one thing, that's a good question. One thing I'm noticing, though, I'm looking at the lap times right here. Yesterday, these cars were like 1 minute 50 seconds, 150.40. Now they're about half a tenth slower. I mean, they're 150.80s, and I saw some 151.20s. They're slower than they were yesterday, but they're supposed to be, because remember about that camber.
Absolutely.
They've reduced the camber. There's not as much grip.
Well, Loflad continues his stoic defense in P1. Vladimir Hladek has thrown absolutely everything at this in terms of trying to find a way past the car of Thomas Loflad, the Baron service driver, trying to wrestle away those honours from Style F Squadra Corsa at the moment. There is von Skeltemar, who's out there in P5 at the moment. And we can see von Skeltemar with an off there, just keeping it out of those tyres. In fairness, through that turn, there is plenty of runoff, Rusty, isn't there?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. As you enter turn one, NASCAR's done a good job in the Daytona International Speedway with paving that area and making it really open. So if you do overshoot, you can just drive off and try it again instead of being off course into a tire barrier or a wall or something like that. They've done a good job on the track design in turn one.
Vladimir Hladek again hounding that Thomas Loflad car ahead of him. Now, this is where he tried it last time around, couldn't quite get the drive or the traction, and again, he just fails. Have to be honest, Rusty, he's looking at places where ordinarily we would not see an overtake, but he's trying absolutely everything he can, of course.
It's no doubt he's got a better car than the leader, that's for sure. He's all over the back of him, but it's really tough to pass, like I mentioned earlier, but I do see the tires starting to degrade a little bit. The cars are getting slower. We still got 13 minutes to go in this race, and that's a long time. So he's getting a lot of pressure,
So you mentioned the runoff areas as 323 gets a drive-through penalty for causing a collision. We saw that on replay a moment ago from Alexander Menzel. Rick Lovett coming back into this battle now. And here, Scuderia Autoropa driver 199 through on the inside there. Another good show from Ingvar Madsen. There, confirmation of that drive-through penalty. Now, Vladimir Hladek has to turn his attention to defense. Rick Lovett just nearly up the inside then. He's beginning to flash his lights as well, just to try and unsettle the driver ahead of him, but he got very, very close there, and that's not somewhere. Oh! Hladek is alongside Loflad, and he's gone through, and he takes up the lead. I didn't see that coming, Rusty Wallace.
Loflad was losing the grip. You could see that he just couldn't get the car to hang on like it's been all throughout the race, and he's starting to lose the handle on that 458 Ferrari.
So here in replay, this was Loflad just wide, wasn't he? And the door was left open.
He dumped it in too high, got a little too deep into turn one, slid out, and got outrun.
Well, Hladek didn't need asking twice to take advantage of that 458 shaped space that he'd left available to him, and now Loflad is going to have to defend from Rick Lovett, because Rick is looking pretty feisty here, and it's very interesting how, and I don't know whether this has been Hladek has gone! Hladek has gone! So now Loflad's back in the lead, and Rick Lovett is now P2. Vladimir Hladek must have made a mistake, Rusty.
Yeah, right now, I mean, it's pretty obvious that this less camber in the back of the car is causing the cars to get a little bit loose and slip and slide around. There's no doubt about that.
Well, Greg is just informing us that he actually turned it around. Well, he did blooming well in recovering that in the time that he did to get it back. So fantastic stuff. So, Rusty, I know you've got to go. You've got other duties. It's been such a privilege and pleasure to have you alongside us on air here,
Thank you very much. We're getting ready to go down. We're getting ready to go down the fan zone with a lot of other drivers and do some big autographs here for Daytona before my race starts at 11:45. It's been great working with you. And we'll see if Lofat can get that doggone draft down the front straightaway and pass him. But he's got it figured out now.
Yeah, got some work to do.
We'll see you later.
Enjoy your race, and the best of luck for you as we see in the barriers there, the 586 car of Min from Asia Pacific. So Min is in the wall. So it's all change, because it was Hladek leading. Then Hladek just got loose, and that allowed Loflad to come back, and also allowed Rick Lovett to move himself into the P2 position. So with just under 10.5 minutes left to run, it's Loflad back in the lead again with 7/10 over Rick Lovett. But Rick Lovett now, who is P2, will feel he has got a great opportunity over the remaining 10 minutes of this race to try and wrestle away that World Championship title from Thomas Loflad. It's the battle between the teams as well. It's Stylev Squadra Corsa currently leading, and it's Kessel Racing who are P2 with Rick Lovett. Up onto the banking they go. 31 degrees of big banking here at the Daytona International Speedway, where we've had the benefit of NASCAR legend and Ferrari racer too now, Rusty Wallace, alongside us on the air, and very grateful for his insight into this phenomenal place. We're on board with Rick Lovett, looking back at the Vladimir Hladek car. Vladimir Hladek just making a error coming out of turn 6, where they rejoined Speedway 1. That's where he got ever so loose, and that allowed Loflad and Lovett to come through. So the sound of the 4,400cc power plant that propels these 458s around this 5.7-kilometer Daytona International Speedway circuit. And it's Loflad with 4/10 over Rick Lovett. Into turn 1, Lovett gets ever closer to Thomas Loflad. Loflad surely having pushed that car so very hard. The grip is being compromised now. Into the final 9 minutes of the race. What can Rick Lovett do? The Canadian racer who raced here in support of the Rolex 24 earlier in this year, and now he is right on the gearbox of that Loflad car. To be fair to Thomas Loflad, we've not seen many errors come from him, and that's exactly what Rick is going to be hoping for. Christian Kinch there in the 128 car into turn number 1. And Claudio Schiavone going all the way around the outside there, and it's never going to work out, unfortunately, but a valiant effort nonetheless. Carried too much speed into that turn number 1. Talking to Claudio Schiavone earlier on today, and he confirmed that he will be back in the challenge next year. Cars ordered for himself and Deborah Mayer for the Scuderia Nicky squad. So whilst we watch those battles, Loflad now breathes a slight sigh of relief as Rick Lovett has to turn his attention to defending from Vladimir Hladek. And Hladek now on the inside of Rick Lovett. Rick Lovett gives him racing room, but in so doing gets the back end of the car stepping out. So Vladimir Hladek comes through, and to be fair to Rick Lovett, he dialed out of that to avoid a collision, and fair play to him for that. But Claudio Schiavone has gone around in the 102 car, manages to get it to safety. And here is that overtaking replay. This is what happened. Hladek very late. There was almost contact between the two of them. I don't think there quite was. And that was Claudio Schiavone going around. And great reactions from the Scuderia Nicky driver to get the car back into gear and out of harm's way, although some avoiding action did have to be taken by some of the drivers that were following. There's Rick Lovett then, who'll feel hard done by that he's seen that P2 place wrestled away from him. Now, interestingly, we've got some backmarking traffic coming into the equation. Slightly longer race for this World Championship, but keeping well out of the way, and good driving from Al Heggie then, the USA racer, who hasn't impeded the race leaders at all in any way. So, the 1, 2, 3, it's Loflad, then it's Hladek, and then it's Rick Lovett. And Hladek is fighting for this. He wants the honor of that World Championship. You can see how much he really wants to get past Thomas Loflad again. And Loflad on a car now that with 6 minutes remaining, they have pushed and pushed and pushed those tires. A super sideways moment there for the car of Barry Zeckelman. So grip has surely got to be compromised now, because the degradation over the 30 minutes of racing that we've seen so far. Into the bus stop we come. Loflad then tries to make his 458 as wide as possible to prevent Vladimir Hladek, but he is close now as they come off the back of turn 11 from the bus stop. They're into Speedway 3 now, around turn 12, and starting on Speedway or NASCAR 4. Can Vladimir Hladek make a move going into turn 1? For my money, I don't think he's close enough to be able to do so. Oh, he's carrying so much speed. Wow, how did he cover that off without getting into all sorts of strife? Why? He has got some power in his braking foot, that's for sure. Consequence of all that is that he's ever closer to Thomas Loflad, and so too is Rick Lovett. Now, Rob Hodes and Fons Skelterma are running P4 and P5. Hardly mentioned Holger Harmsen that we just see go through, and there is Thomas Gosner in the 161 car, who is running P10. It's a good showing from Thomas Gosner and also for Holger Harmsen running P10 and P9. 173 car of Corinna Gosner is the leader of the ladies race. She is P1 in that and actually running P13 in the race overall. We've seen the retirement, sadly, of her sister Manuela Gosner. So we're back to our race leaders in the final 4 minutes of this race now. The time ticking down to the very top of the screen on the left-hand side as we ticker across the leaders as well, this battle for first position. Look at that, under 3/10 between Loflad and Hladek through the bus stop chicane off of turn 11. Beginning to build speed, as Rusty Wallace told us. This is where you start to build the momentum and build the aggression for a go into turn number 1, which is still a long way away from this point as they go through the banking. Past the pit lane, over the start finish, and now push for all your might on that brake pedal to try and scrub the speed. Loflad goes quite wide, allows Hladek to get ever closer, but not close enough. For my money, we have just 3 minutes of this race remaining. And Loflad has done a supreme job in defending. But, oh, as Holger Harmsen is in the wall. So Holger Harmsen has clattered into the wall. Now for sure, here we can see, and it's a tyre let go. So absolutely nothing Holger Hansson could do about that. And just the front end of the car glances the wall. So Stylev Squadra Corsa, they're praying, of course, that there will be a safety car. There is a safety car with just 2.5 minutes left to run. Surely, by the time that they've recovered Holger Hansson's car, it'll be all over. And therefore, Thomas Loflad will be crowned world champion. However, we have seen the very efficient recovery teams work very, very quickly here. Let's see. Well, thankfully, Holger Hansson is all okay. Really, really good to see that. But, whoa, that must have been a heart-stopping moment for him, as it's the only tyre failure that we've seen in this race. And going back to what Rusty Wallace was saying, that Pirelli had said to knock off the camber a little bit. Here it is in replay. Just watch as that just explodes. Across the grass, across the tarmac, and then the front end of the car just glancing the wall. Thankfully, Holger is completely okay. So safety car out then, and I'm sorry, with just a minute of the race remaining, this is going to be the final lap. We're going to finish behind the safety car, which means that Stylev Squadra Corsa and Thomas Loflad should be crowned the world champion, ahead of Vladimir Hladek and Rick Lovett. We're on board with Rick Lovett, who has done a brilliant job in P3, got up as far as P2, never quite held the opportunity to get into the lead of the race. Von Skeltermar is running in P5, who we're on board with now. So full course yellow's being waved, and the safety car is taking the cars around, and this is the final lap, and it will bring to a conclusion for Coppa Shell what has been a magnificent reign of a magnificent racing car, the 458 Evo version for the Ferrari Challenge, because for Coppa Shell next year, it will be the all-new 488 that was unveiled at the glittering gala dinner last night. And Thomas Loflad and Stylev Squadra Corsa will go away from Florida. And you can see the tears in their eyes. This means so much. They will go away from Florida then, having had a supremely successful finale mondiale weekend here at Daytona International Speedway. The final lap then, sadly, behind the safety car. Of course, no overtaking when you're behind the safety car. Any opportunity that Hladek and Lovett had to move up a little bit further, well, that was all thrown away when we saw the Holger Hansson car pirouetting following that tyre failure. But thankfully, we also saw Holger walking away completely unharmed. One of the paddock's really nice guys, as pretty much all of them are. Fantastic camaraderie in the Ferrari Challenge, and what's really, really nice about it is that every driver so approachable in the paddock. They are lovely people to go and talk to, and not only are they great racing drivers, but they're utter Ferrari enthusiasts as well. And the gala dinner last night was something very special indeed. So hopefully the safety car will peel off into the pit lane and just allow the cars to take the checkered flag. So there is the checkered flag. Yes, indeed, that is what's happening. The safety car is peeling off, just allowing Thomas Loflad to take the checkered flag and to take the world final race here at Daytona. So Thomas Loflad is world champion, followed by Vladimir Hladek, Rick Lovett, and Stylev Squadra Corsa at last. Give us the big thumbs up. They are world champions. So there we can see the new world champion on his slowing down lap. order in full. Low-flat, Haladik, Lovett, Hodes, then it was Skeltermar, Zeckelman, Diamato, Williams, Thomas Gosner finishing P9, James Courtney finishing P10, Tommy Lindroth, good showing from Tommy Lindroth to take P11, then it was Corinna Gosa, Kriton Landudis, Christian Kinch, then it was Yang Beck and Ingvar Madsen, Sato, Musial, Watt, Palomo, Claudio Schiavone and Corley taking P22 and P23. We started with 36 cars, ended with 30, following some offs and some mechanical woes. The world champion is Thomas Loeflad for Starlef Squadra Corsa. Heading up towards the bus stop, taking P3, Rick Lovett for Kessel Racing. Then Kessel have had a fantastic weekend here also, with their drivers really enjoying this finale Mondiale weekend in Daytona. Through the bus stop chicane they go for the final time of asking. And the final meters in the 458 as the Ferrari Challenge car. On board with Rick Lovett looking back then. P4 going the way of Rob Hodes. And what has to be said is it's a pretty dominant performance by the European drivers as well. The top 3 drivers, all from the European series. The best of the rest, North America with Rob Hodes P4, and the best Asia Pacific, Yang in P15. So very dominant showing from the European series. So super slow-mos are the top 3, Rick Lovett then taking P3. P2 goes the way of Vladimir Haladik for Baron Service. And the winner, though, for Starlef Squadra Corsa is Thomas Loeflad. Winner in the ladies' race, Corinna Gosner.
Fallo salire sul tetto.
Thomas Loeflad then making his way out of the car. And let's take a look at the highlights of the race. Safety car peeled off in anticipation of the green flag to be waved to get the World Championship race for Coppa Shell in Ferrari Challenge underway. Well, Thomas Loeflad made his intentions clear from the very start. However, the leader of the race in the initial stages looked like he was going to have it all his own way until a drive-through penalty for Matt Keegan meant that Vladimir Haladik would take up the lead from Thomas Loeflad and Rick Lovett, but then a mistake from Haladik allowed Loeflad to take the lead back again for Rick Lovett to move up into P2. And Loeflad, to be fair, while stoic in defence in the early stages of the race, would have to do it all over again in the second stage of the race as well. His first line of defence was against Rick Lovett, and then here came the overtake from Vladimir Haladik, which Rick Lovett dialed out of to avoid any collision. That put Haladik back into P2, and then he was going to chase Loeflad all the way to the checkered flag. Holger Hanssen's tyre let go. Thankfully, he merely glanced the wall, and we saw Holger Hansson walking away from that completely unharmed. But what it did mean was the final stages of the race would come under the safety car as Holger Hansson walks away, and therefore the race would finish under the safety car, and Thomas Loeflad would be crowned world champion for 2016 in Ferrari Challenge, and his team Starlef Squadra Corsa utterly delighted by that. Corinna Gosner being congratulated by sister Manuela, having done a fantastic job in And there, look, the 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the classification in full for you. Loflad, Hladek, Lovett, Hodes, Skeltermar, Zeckelman, Diamato, Williams, Gosner, and Courtney taking P10.
$7 million to our top bidder.
You can just hear Bob Varsha in the background there talking about the auction that took place last night for the aid of the earthquake relief that Ferrari had donated a car, and the amount of money that was raised last night at that gala dinner was just simply eye-watering. Generosity is magnificent, absolutely magnificent.
Awards were also presented to the winners of 18 classes at the Concours d'Alliance that has taken place here.
Matt Keegan in the end finished up P25. And we're standing by to head up to the podium, and we will see the world champion crowned here at Daytona. So you can see the podium being set up there at Daytona International Speedway.
F1 Clienti programs, and don't forget another 35-minute World Championship final for the Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli.
As Bob is saying there, the Trofeo Pirelli race to come a little bit later on. Takes a bit of time to get the drivers into the podium area. And before we get the podium ceremony underway, Loflad, Hladek, and Lovett, and we're also going to see Corinna Gosner up there also. Everyone filing in to get the photographs of this world final podium here at Daytona. What a fantastic end it has been to the Coppa Shell
Looks like we're about
series.
ready for our podium ceremonies for the Finale Mondiale Coppa Shell division. For that, let's go down to Jim Trado in Victory Lane.
Thank you, Bob Varsha. We are in the
So Jim is down there in the
award the world final podium for Coppa Shell. Representing
now the podium is literally directly below our commentary position here. There's Rick Lovett then, Canadian racer, takes P3 in the world final race. Vladimir Hladek then takes P2. Boy, didn't he try hard.
And our Coppa Shell world final champion from Germany, Thomas Loflad.
And here's Thomas Loflad then,
Stylus,
who takes the World Championship, congratulated by Rick Lovett and also by Vladimir as well. And the Coppa ladies will be Corinna Gosner. And there is Corinna saying, calm down, gentlemen, I'm not there yet. Germany wins in the USA. Thomas Loflad then is world champion, and Stylus Squadra Corsa really, really happy about that. So, first of all, trophy presented to Rick Lovett. Davide Rigon making the trophy presentation, official Ferrari star driver. Super guy is Davide as well. Sam Bird, who will be joining us in commentary very soon. He makes the trophy presentation there to Vladimir Hladek.
And to present our championship world final award, official Ferrari driver James Galato to Thomas Laflamme.
And James Galato then, with whom I shared an orange juice last night, makes the trophy presentation to Thomas Laflamme. The World Championship trophy, which is a really rather nice manifold.
The Coppa Gentleman Award to Rick Lavat.
Sam Bird makes the
And presenting the Coppa Ladies Award, official
interesting
Ferrari
part of an
driver
exhaust there that Rick Lovett has.
Gosner.
He gets the gentleman trophy. Now it's Corinna Gessner. Gosner gets the ladies trophy. Various parts of cars there. With a deft 13mm spanner, you could probably put something quite nice together there from those trophies. Look at that.
Podium finishers now on the Gatorade Victory Lane podium here at Daytona. Congratulations.
So the first world final winners are crowned in the victory lane here. Rick Lovett absolutely covering Corinna Gosner. She's saying no more, no more. She can't even get the bottle open. Oh, fantastic celebrations down there in victory lane. Sam Bird, David A. Rigon and James Galato make haste their escape to avoid having to have another shirt. So Rick Lovett in conversation there with Vladimir Hladek, and they're Corinna's children who want to be part of the celebrations as well. And why not? And that is a fantastic shot with Andrea Malatisic, who is head of the Ferrari Challenge Corsa Clienti in the middle of the picture, and deservedly so. Boy, does that man work hard. And everyone from Ferrari having worked so hard to bring such a supreme event here to Daytona. To the very left there is Thomas Gosner, father of Corinna, and Manuela, who of course is Corinna's sister, down there enjoying the podium celebrations as well. So drivers make their way off the podium. The first World Championship for Finale Mondiali done and dusted. The next race at 16:45 GMT, and it is the Trofeo Pirelli World Championship, which will be featuring one Mr. Rusty Wallace. From me and all the team up here, thank you so much for enjoying it. We'll see you for Trofeo Pirelli soon.